Yesterday, my biggest problem was deciding whether to order instant noodles or cheap takeout after work. Today, I'm married to the most feared alien warrior in the galaxy. And somehow it actually makes sense. My name is Ethan Carter, a maintenance engineer on Orion Station, a massive trade hub floating between several galactic territories. Humans were still relatively new to the wider galactic community, so most of the jobs we got were the ones nobody else wanted. Maintenance, waste recycling, cargo inspection. Basically, the boring stuff. But I didn't mind. The pay was decent, the station was safe, and most days were quiet. At least they used to be. The day everything changed. It started with an alarm. A loud, metallic siren blared across Orion Station, shaking the corridor walls. Security alert. Security alert. All civilians remain in designated safe zones. I sighed and wiped grease off my hands. Great, I muttered. Another pirate scare. It happened occasionally. Pirates would try to raid trade stations, but Orion had strong defenses. Still, alarms meant work delays. I was halfway through repairing a gravity stabilizer when the corridor lights flickered. Then the door behind me exploded inward. Not opened. Exploded. Metal bent like paper as something crashed through it. I froze. Standing in the ruined doorway was a towering alien warrior. She was easily 7 feet tall, clad in dark combat armor etched with glowing crimson symbols. 2 curved horns swept back from her head, and her eyes burned with an intense golden light. Her skin had a faint metallic sheen, like polished obsidian. And in her hand was a blade that looked like it could cut a spaceship in half. My brain supplied the only word it could think of.
Run.
But my legs didn't move. The warrior scanned the corridor, clearly searching for something or someone. Then her eyes locked onto me. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then she spoke. You are human. Her voice was deep, calm, and absolutely terrifying. Yeah, I said weakly. She studied me for several long seconds. Then something strange happened. She lowered her weapon, the deadliest species. Later, I would learn exactly who she was. Her name was Kael'vara, a warrior from the Kareth Dominion. The Kareth were legendary across the galaxy. Not for diplomacy, not for science, but for war. They were stronger than most species, faster than nearly all of them, and had a culture built entirely around combat honor. Their warriors were so dangerous that entire fleets avoided provoking them. And Kael'vara? She wasn't just a warrior. She was one of their elite champions. Which begged one very important question. Why was she standing in a maintenance corridor, staring at me? You are not afraid, she said. Oh no, I replied quickly. I'm terrified. Her lips twitched slightly. I wasn't sure if that was amusement or a threat. Behind her, the station alarms continued screaming. You should be in a shelter, she said. I was fixing a gravity unit when the door exploded. That was my doing. Yeah, I figured. She looked around the corridor again. Then she said something that made absolutely no sense. Human Ethan Carter. My stomach dropped. You know my name? Yes.
How?
The marriage registry. I blinked. The what? She tilted her head. Our union has been confirmed by the Galactic Council. I stared at her. Then I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because my brain refused to accept the alternative. Okay, I said. That's a good one. She didn't laugh. She simply held out a glowing data pad. See for yourself. The marriage contract. I took the data pad with shaking hands. Displayed on the screen was an official Galactic Council document. It had my name, her name, and one very clear statement. Binding strategic marriage contract. Approved. I stared at it. This has to be a mistake. There is no mistake. But I never signed anything. She tapped the screen. A small video appeared.
It was me.
3 months earlier, at a station bar, very drunk, talking to an alien diplomat about humanity's openness to cross-species alliances. Apparently, that diplomat worked for the Galactic Council, and apparently, my rambling speech had been interpreted as an official human volunteer for diplomatic marriage integration. I rubbed my face. You've got to be kidding me. No, Kael'vara said calmly. It is quite official. Can we cancel it?
No.
Pause it.
No.
Put it on hold. She folded her arms. In my culture, a marriage bond is permanent. Of course it was. I looked up at the 7-foot-tall alien warrior. So, you're my wife now? Yes. The station alarm finally stopped. And just like that, my quiet life ended. Learning about my new wife. Over the next few days, I learned 2 important things. First, Kael'vara was terrifying. Second, she had absolutely no idea how human relationships worked. The Karth approached marriage very differently. For them, marriage wasn't about romance. It was about bonding 2 warriors into an unbreakable partnership. A married pair would fight side by side for life, protect each other, die for each other. It was the ultimate sign of trust. Unfortunately, Kael'vara believed this meant I needed combat training immediately. Again, she ordered. I groaned from the training mat. I can't feel my arms. You will need them. You just threw me across the room. You landed well. I landed in a trash container. She crouched beside me. Your species is fragile. Thanks. But you learn quickly. That's because I like breathing. To my surprise, she actually smiled. It was small, but it was real. Trouble finds us. About a week after our accidental marriage, we got our first real test. Pirates attacked Orion Station. Not the usual raiders. These were Vraxian mercenaries, a brutal species known for slave trading and illegal weapon sales. Their ships breached the station's outer defense ring before anyone could stop them. Chaos erupted across the station. Security forces mobilized. Civilians ran for shelters. And Kael'vara? She grabbed her armor. Stay here, she told me. Not a chance. This is war. I know. You are not a warrior. Yeah, I said, grabbing a wrench. But I'm your husband. She studied me for a long moment. Then she nodded once. Stay behind me.
Deal.
The battle. The pirates had already reached the central docking bay. Smoke filled the air. Blaster fire echoed through the corridors. Kael'vara moved like a living weapon. 3 Vraxians rushed us. She cut down the first before he even raised his gun. The second tried to fire. Her blade sliced through the weapon and the pirate's armor in one motion. The third turned to run. She didn't chase him. Instead, she stayed beside me,
protecting me.
More pirates appeared. I swung my wrench at one who got too close. It probably looked ridiculous, but it worked. Kael'vara glanced at me. You fight. I told you. You are still fragile. Working on it. Together, we pushed deeper into the docking bay. Station security eventually arrived. The pirates retreated. The battle ended. But the moment that changed everything happened afterward. The moment she chose me. We stood on the battle-scarred docking platform. Emergency lights flickered across the wreckage. Kael'vara looked down at me. You should have stayed behind. Probably. You could have died.
Yeah.
Why did you come? I shrugged. Because that's what partners do. She was silent. Then she said something softly. In Karth tradition, a warrior proves their bond by fighting beside their mate. I blinked. Does hitting a pirate with a wrench count? She stepped closer. Yes. Then she did something completely unexpected. She placed her armored hand over mine. In my world, strength decides many things, she said. But loyalty decides everything. Her golden eyes met mine. You are not the strongest warrior. Definitely not. But you stood beside me. I smiled slightly. Well, we're married. For the first time since we met, Kael'vara laughed. And it was the most beautiful sound I had ever heard. The ending. 6 months later, Orion Station looked very different. Word had spread across the galaxy. A human maintenance engineer had married a Karth champion. At first, everyone thought it was a political arrangement. Then they saw us together. Saw how we fought side by side during pirate raids. Saw how Kael'vara always made sure I was safe. And how I always had her back, even if my weapon was still a wrench. Our marriage had become something unexpected. A symbol. Humans and Karth working together. Strength and compassion. Warrior and engineer. One evening, we stood at the station's observation window, watching stars drift past. You regret it? She asked suddenly. Regret what? Our marriage. I thought about my old life.
Quiet. Boring.
Lonely. Then I looked at her. The deadly alien warrior who could defeat armies, but still checked to make sure I'd eaten dinner. Not even a little, I said. She nodded slowly. In my culture, she said, marriage is the strongest bond two beings can share, even if it starts by accident. Yes. I smiled. Well, yesterday I was single. And today, she asked. I looked at my terrifying, loyal, unstoppable wife. Today I'm the luckiest guy in the galaxy. Kael'vara placed her hand in mine. Above us, the stars of 1,000 worlds shimmered. And for the first time in galactic history, a human and a Karth warrior stood together, not as allies, but as partners. And whatever the future held, we would face it together.